Habs Nation. Have you ever seen a front office hold the key to a game-changing, under-the-radar weapon that could blindside the entire league in the crucible of the NHL playoffs? In this ruthless, hyper-competitive ecosystem, the ultimate edge is deploying a high-octane asset that opponents have no professional tape on, no way to prepare for. Today, we're sealing off the tactical war room to dissect a critical moment for the Montreal Canadiens as they stand on the brink of activating a prized organizational talent. Grab your developmental ledgers, pull up your NCAA scouting reports, and brace yourselves for an unflinching breakdown. We're conducting a forensic audit of the impending professional debut of Michael Hage and the high-stakes dilemma facing General Manager Kent Hughes. Let's kick off by mapping the raw reality of the asset in question. Michael Hage isn't just another prospect in the pipeline. He's a fully operational, kinetic force ready to explode onto the scene. We just witnessed him dominate on the international stage this winter, carrying Team Canada's offense on his shoulders at the World Junior Championship. He led the tournament with a staggering 15 points, earning MVP honors for a squad that, by all statistical measures, underperformed as a whole. That kind of clutch performance under pressure isn't just promising. It's a neon sign of elite potential. Now, let's zoom in on his collegiate resume at the University of Michigan, where the numbers paint an even more compelling picture. Across 2 seasons, Hage has racked up an astonishing 85 points, showcasing a blend of skill and consistency that marks him as a cut above. As he gears up for the ultimate collegiate pressure cooker, the NCAA Frozen Four against Denver, the scouting reports are sending shockwaves through the Atlantic Division. Hage boasts top-end speed that can burn past offenders, transitional geometry that makes him a nightmare in the neutral zone, and deceptive puck handling that keeps opponents guessing. Stylistically, he's drawing comparisons to Robert Thomas, a two-way center known for his intelligence and playmaking. Hage is precisely the kind of cerebral, versatile foundational piece that anchors sustainable Stanley Cup dynasties, a player who can control the game's tempo while contributing at both ends of the ice. But we must pivot our analytical lens to the critical decision point looming on the horizon, the moment the final buzzer sounds on Michigan's season. Whether in triumph or defeat, Kent Hughes will likely slide a standard 3-year entry-level contract, YLC, across the boardroom table. That signature, while formality, triggers an immediate, high-stakes tactical dilemma for head coach Martin St. Louis and the entire Canadiens organization. The question isn't just about signing Hage. It's about when and how to deploy him in a way that maximizes his impact without jeopardizing his development or the team's current momentum. The Canadiens have already clinched a playoff berth, riding a wave of strong play into the postseason. For historical context, we all remember the precedent set in 2021, when Montreal inserted a collegiate Caufield directly into the playoff inferno. That bold move paid off spectacularly, fueling a Cinderella run to the Stanley Cup final as Caufield's fresh legs and snipers caught opponents off guard. The mainstream media and a vocal segment of the fan base are already clamoring for history to repeat itself, urging the immediate deployment of Hage in the same high-drama, high-reward fashion. The allure is obvious. A young, dynamic talent with no NHL tape for opponents to study could be a secret weapon against battle-hardened playoff teams like Tampa Bay or Boston. I need you to freeze your analytical processing and confront the actual biomechanical and roster realities, because the situation isn't as simple as plugging in a shiny new toy. First and foremost, there's a significant health concern to address. Hage suffered an injury during the regional tournament just last month, a setback that raises red flags about his physical readiness for the NHL's brutal postseason grind. You do not subject a 19-year-old franchise cornerstone, a player with the potential to be a centerpiece for a decade, to the unrelenting physicality of playoff hockey if his ligaments and overall structure aren't operating at 100% capacity. The risk of aggravating an injury or stunting his long-term development far outweighs any short-term gain. Playoff hockey isn't just faster. It's a meat grinder where every hit is amplified, every shift a test of endurance. Rushing Hage into that environment before he's fully healed could derail not just this season, but his entire career trajectory. Second, let's dissect the roster geometry, which is markedly different from the 2021 context when Caufield was inserted. Back then, the Canadiens had clear gaps in their offensive lineup. with injuries and underperformance creating a desperate need for a spark. Caufield filled that void perfectly. Today, however, the forward group is in a much stronger position. Kirby Dach has successfully returned from the medical ward, reclaiming his role as a key contributor down the middle. The second line, featuring Oliver Kapanen and Ivan Demidov, has forged undeniable high-yield chemistry, clicking at a level that's driving consistent production. The center ice positions in Montreal are currently stabilized, with Nick Suzuki leading the top line and Dach anchoring the middle six. There's no glaring hole for Hage to step into, as there was for Caufield, and forcing him into the lineup could disrupt the delicate balance and rhythm the team has built during this playoff push. Moreover, let's consider the developmental angle. Hage, while immensely talented, has been playing against collegiate competition, not the seasoned pros of the NHL. The jump from NCAA to playoff hockey isn't just a step up. It'll leap into a different stratosphere. The speed, physicality, and tactical complexity are on another level, and even the most gifted prospects often need an adjustment period to acclimate. Throwing Hage into the deep end without that buffer risks shattering his confidence if he struggles against elite competition right out of the gate. A player of his caliber, drafted 21st overall, isn't a short-term rental. He's a long-term investment. The Canadiens must weigh the immediate allure of a playoff wild card against the potential cost of his growth and mental resilience. Let's also analyze the strategic landscape of the postseason. The Canadiens are not a desperate bubble team clawing for a single playoff win to salvage a lost season. They're meticulously constructing a decade-long championship window with a young core that's just beginning to hit its stride. This isn't about one series or one postseason. It's about building a dynasty capable of sustained excellence. Rushing Hage into action for a quick line boost could jeopardize that vision. If he's not physically ready, or if he falters under the spotlight, it could set back both his development and the team's long-term trajectory. The Atlantic Division is a gauntlet, with teams like Tampa Bay and Boston loaded with experience and physicality. Hage might be a future star, but facing off against Nikita Kucherov or Brad Marchand in his first NHL games is a tall order for any rookie, let alone one coming off an injury. Now, let's contrast this with the Caufield precedent to understand why history shouldn't dictate the present. In 2021, the Canadiens were in a unique position, a team that had overachieved to reach the playoffs, backed by a hot goaltender in Carey Price and a desperate need for offensive punch. Caufield's insertion was a calculated gamble that paid off because the team lacked other options, and he was healthy, hungry, and ready to fire. Hage's situation differs in key ways. The roster is deeper now. The injury concern looms large, and the team's identity is more established under Martin St. Louis. The 2021 run was a magical anomaly, not a repeatable blueprint. Hughes and St. Louis must recognize that what worked then isn't necessarily the right call now. So, what's the optimal path forward? Kent Hughes must exercise supreme corporate discipline, balancing the temptation of immediate impact with the imperative of long-term value. The smart play is to sign Michael Hage to his ELC the moment his collegiate season concludes, securing his rights and bringing him into the fold. Integrate him into the NHL practice environment immediately. Let him skate with the team, absorb the speed, learn the systems, and soak in the culture of a playoff-bound locker room. This exposure is invaluable for his transition, giving him a taste of the pro level without the pressure of game action. But unless a catastrophic wave of injuries decimates the forward core, keep him in a tailored suit in the press box for the postseason. Observing from above, he can study the intensity and physicality of playoff hockey, preparing mentally for what lies ahead without risking his body or confidence. This approach isn't about playing it safe. It's about playing it smart. Hage's long-term value as a 21st overall pick is simply too high to gamble for a short-term jolt. The Canadiens have other weapons to lean on in the playoffs. Suzuki's leadership, Caufield's sniping, Slavkovsky's physicality, and Dach's two-way game. Adding Hage to the mix right now is a necessity. It's a luxury we can afford to delay. Let him marinate in the pro environment. Potentially join the Laval Rocket for a brief HL stint if the timing aligns, and set him up for a full, healthy debut next season when he can claim a permanent role without the shadow of injury or rushed expectations. The future is arriving in Montreal, but front offices win championships by mastering the long game, not by chasing fleeting highs. Let's also consider the broader implications for the organization. Rushing prospects into playoff action can set a dangerous precedent, signaling to other young talents that immediate results trump development. Hughes has built a reputation for patience and structure, ensuring players like Hudson and Reinbacher are brought along at the right pace. Hage deserves the same careful handling, especially given his injury history. Protecting him now reinforces a culture of sustainable growth, showing the fan base in a league that Montreal prioritizes lasting success over quick fixes. It's a message that resonates in a market with a storied history of championships, where fans crave not just wins, but dynasties. Finally, let's acknowledge the competitive landscape. The Eastern Conference is wide open, with parity creating opportunities for upsets. The Canadiens don't need Hage to be a difference maker this spring. They've already got the pieces to make noise. Preserving him for next season, when he's fully ready, could be the move that turns a good team into a great one, especially as rivals like Toronto and Ottawa grapple with their own roster challenges. Hughes' restraint now could be the chess move that checkmates a division in 2027 or 2028, when Hage is a polished, battle-tested center driving our attack. I'm turning the floor over to you in the comments. Step into the GM's chair. Would you deploy Michael Hage in the playoffs for a potential Caufield-like spark, or do you stand with a long-term vision of protecting his development? Crush that subscribe button now to lock in your permanent executive access to this war room. Slam the like button to overpower the algorithm. Keep your sights locked on the NCAA transaction wire and stay fiercely tuned in for our next tactical breakdown.